Captain Jake Morrison looked at the bright screen on his ship's bridge. The numbers made no sense. His patrol ship, the UES Horizon, was doing normal space checks when they found something impossible. A huge group of ships was floating in empty space with no power. Are these numbers right? Morrison asked Lisa Grant, his communication officer. Lisa looked at her computer again. Her blonde hair moved as she turned her head. Yes, sir. 8,000 ships. All different from anything we know. No power, no movement, they're just floating there. Officer Danny Rodriguez made a low whistle sound. 8,000? That's bigger than any human fleet we have. Morrison had to make a choice. The safe thing would be to call Earth and wait for more ships. But if something could stop 8,000 ships, he needed to know what it was. Take us closer. Go slow. If someone destroyed that many ships, I want to see them before they see us. When the horizon got closer, Morrison could not believe his eyes. The alien ships looked like giant crystals that sparkled in the starlight. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the largest human warship. They hung in space like dead whales, dark and quiet. Amy Carter looked up from her scanner. Sir, I'm reading life signs on many ships. Whoever built these, some are still alive inside. Morrison felt his heart beat faster. Thousands of beings were trapped out here in the cold dark. Each minute he waited might mean more deaths. Open all radio channels. Use every way we know to talk. The answer came fast. Strange musical sounds that the ship's computer changed into words they could understand. Unknown ship, this is the 7th fleet of the Zephyrian Empire. I am Admiral Veltar Moonwhisper. Our power cores have failed. We have been stuck here for 18 days. Our people are dying. Morrison walked forward. Admiral Moonwhisper, this is Captain Jake Morrison from Earth. We want to help you. A long, quiet moment passed. Then the alien spoke again, and Morrison could hear hope in the voice. We do not know your people, Captain Morrison. Can you fix quantum power cores? Morrison looked at his crew. These were humans who could fix anything, with spare parts and hard work. Admiral, we'll find a way. That's what humans do best. The alien admiral's voice came back stronger. Captain, we have tried everything. Our best engineers worked for days. The power cores are completely dead. Without them, our ships cannot move, cannot make air, cannot make heat. We have maybe 30 more days before everyone dies. Morrison felt cold inside. 30 million people floating in space waiting to die. Admiral, we're coming aboard your ship. My engineer needs to see what we're working with. You would risk your lives for people you do not know? Morrison smiled, even though the alien could not see him. Admiral, that's also what humans do. 2 hours later, Morrison and his team flew their small shuttle to the biggest alien ship. The inside was beautiful but scary. Everything was made of crystal that glowed with soft light. The walls looked like they were grown instead of built. Admiral Veltar met them at the door. He was tall and thin, with skin that changed colors like oil on water. His large eyes had many parts like a fly's eyes, but they looked sad and tired. Your arrival gives us hope, the Admiral said as he led them through crystal halls. But I must tell you the truth. The Galactic Federation already sent their best people. The Korthak Union, the Stellar Assembly, all the smart races, they all said the same thing. Our ships cannot be fixed. Bobby Chen, Morrison's chief engineer, was a short man with dirty hands and a sharp mind. He looked at everything with his scanner. What exactly broke, Admiral? Our quantum cores work on special sound waves. Everything must be perfect. We were running from a war when we hit something that changed the waves. Now all our cores are just dead crystal. Without the perfect sounds, they are useless. They walked into the power room, and the humans stopped and stared. The quantum core was huge, like a crystal mountain. Thousands of smaller crystals made patterns around it. Everything was connected by streams of light that had stopped moving. Bobby whistled, soft and low. Well, that's something new. He started taking readings with his tools. How many people on each ship, Admiral? Between 2,000 and 4,000 souls per vessel, the Admiral said quietly. We have emergency power for maybe 30 more days. After that, he did not finish, but they all knew what he meant. Morrison did the math. 30 million people were counting on them to solve a problem that the galaxy's smartest people had given up on. Admiral, Dr. Helen Wood said carefully, did the other races offer to take your people? The Admiral's face showed pain. The numbers are too big. Most races could take a few hundred of us, but 30 million? The Federation said they would save some to remember our culture. His voice was bitter. Morrison felt anger rise in his chest. The galaxy was ready to let an entire race die instead of trying to save them. That's not happening, Admiral. Bobby, what do you think? The engineer kept scanning, his face thoughtful. Well, Captain, their sound wave thing is way beyond us. But maybe we're thinking about this wrong. He turned to the Admiral. What if we don't try to fix your quantum cores at all? I do not understand. Bobby smiled the way he did when he was about to try something crazy. What if we give your ships completely different power? Something simple but strong? The Admiral looked confused. Your technology works with our ships? Not exactly, Bobby said. But I never met a problem I couldn't solve with enough tape and a fusion reactor. Morrison grinned. He had seen Bobby work miracles before. Admiral, humans might not have your advanced technology, but we're very good at making things work when they shouldn't. The Admiral's many-part eyes focused on Morrison. You truly believe you can save us? Admiral, Morrison said, we're going to try. And when humans try something, we don't give up until it works or we die trying. For the first time since they met, Admiral Veltar smiled. It was a strange sight on his alien face, but it was real hope. Then let us begin, Captain Morrison. Show us what humans can do. The next morning, Morrison woke up inside the alien ship. He had slept in a crystal room that glowed softly blue. Everything felt strange, but peaceful. The Admiral had given them guest rooms while they worked on the problem. Bobby Chen was already awake, drinking coffee from his thermos and staring at computer screens full of alien ship plans. Morning, Captain. I've been up all night looking at this mess. Dr. Helen Woods joined them in the alien meeting room. She looked tired but excited. I've been talking to their scientists. Their technology is amazing but also very fragile. Admiral Veltar entered the room, moving like a dancer. His skin changed colors based on his mood, and right now it showed worry and hope mixed together. Captain Morrison, have you learned anything that can help us? Morrison sat down at the crystal table. Admiral, tell me more about what happened to your ships. Veltar's large eyes grew sad. We were running from the Devourer War. Our enemies had destroyed 3 star systems. We took our entire civilization and fled to find a new home. The Devourers sound terrible, Dr. Wood said. They are machines that eat everything, planets, stars, people. They turn everything into more machines. We fought them for 50 years before we had to run. Bobby looked up from his computer. So you packed up 30 million people and ran? Yes, but space is dangerous. We hit something, called a gravity storm. It's like a hurricane in space that twists everything. Our power cores all broke at the same time. Morrison frowned. What exactly broke? The Admiral gestured to the walls around them. Our ships work on music, Captain. Every part sings the same song. When all the parts sing together, we have power. Air, heat, everything we need. But the storm changed the music? Dr. Woods asked. Exactly. Now nothing sings together. The cores are silent. Dead. Bobby stood up and walked around the room. So let me get this straight. Your entire civilization runs on cosmic music, and when the music stops, everything dies? That is a simple way to put it. But yes. Bobby laughed, but not in a mean way. Admiral, no offense, but that's the dumbest way to build spaceships I've ever heard. Morrison almost spit out his coffee. Bobby, but the Admiral was not angry. You are right, Engineer Chen. Our ancestors chose beauty over strength. They made our technology like art instead of tools. Dr. Woods looked at her readings. Your quantum cores are incredible, but they need perfect conditions to work. If one tiny thing goes wrong, everything fails. Yes. And now the galaxy's best minds have said we cannot be saved. Morrison felt angry again. Who came to look at your ships? The Korthak Union sent their master builders. They looked for one day and said it was impossible. The Stellar Assembly sent their quantum experts. They worked for 3 days and gave up. The Federation Council said our technology was too advanced for repair in space. Bobby made an angry noise. They gave up, just like that. They offered to take 10,000 of our people to remember our culture. 10,000 out of 30 million. The room went quiet. Morrison thought about what that meant. The galaxy was ready to let an entire race die to save a few museum pieces. That's not right, Dr. Woods said quietly. No, it's not. Morrison agreed. Admiral, these other races that came here, they all tried to fix your quantum cores? Yes, they said without the harmonic resonance, repair was impossible. Bobby started grinning. Morrison knew that look. It meant his engineer had an idea. Admiral, what if we don't fix your quantum cores? I do not understand. What if we throw out your fancy music system and give you something that actually works? Veltar looked confused. Your human technology can power our ships? Well, not exactly, but I bet we can make it work. Bobby pulled out his toolbox. Admiral, your people made their ships like instruments in an orchestra. Very pretty, but if one violin breaks, the whole song stops. Yes, that is correct. Humans don't build things like that. We build them like hammers, simple, strong, and if they break, you can fix them with basic tools. Dr. Woods was getting excited. Bobby, you're thinking of installing human power systems in alien ships? Why not? Power is power. Their ships need electricity to run life, support, engines, lights. Doesn't matter if it comes from singing crystals or fusion reactors. Morrison could see the idea forming. You want to gut their power systems and install human ones? Not gut. Work around. Their ships are like fancy cars that only run on special gas. We give them new engines that run on regular gas. Admiral Veltar was quiet for a long time. His skin was cycling through many colors as he thought. Engineer, Chen, such a thing has never been attempted. Our ships and your technology are completely different. Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We've been making different things work together for thousands of years. We took horse saddles and put them on machines to make motorcycles. We took boat sails and put them on land vehicles to make cars go faster. We're really good at mixing things that don't belong together. But the complexity, Bobby held up his hand. Admiral, complicated things break easily. Simple things keep working. Your quantum cores are like glass flowers. Pretty, but fragile. Human fusion reactors are like rocks. Not pretty, but almost. Impossible to break. Morrison stood up. Admiral, will you let us try? Veltar looked at each human face. He saw determination, confidence, and something his people had lost during their long exile. Hope. Captain Morrison, your people would risk their lives to save strangers? Admiral, that's what good people do. And despite what some folks think, humans are good people. The Admiral's skin finally settled on a warm gold color. Then yes, Captain. Show us what human engineering can do. Show us what hope looks like. Bobby was already pulling tools out of his kit. Admiral, you're about to learn that humans don't believe in impossible. We just believe in problems we haven't solved yet. News traveled fast through space. Within 1 week, the empty area around the alien fleet looked like a busy construction site. Human ships came from everywhere. Big cargo ships carried fusion reactors. Small repair ships brought tools and spare parts. Even civilian ships came to help. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship watching the amazing sight. Over 200 human vessels surrounded the alien fleet. Thousands of engineers worked day and night to save 30 million lives. Sir, Lisa Grant called from her station. We're getting messages from alien ships. They want to watch what we're doing. Morrison looked at the scanner. Ships from 12 different alien races sat at a safe distance, watching the humans work. Let them watch. They said it was impossible. Let's show them what impossible looks like when humans do it. On the alien flagship, Bobby Chen was teaching Zephyrian engineers how to cut holes in crystal walls. The aliens watched in horror as he used a plasma torch to slice through what they considered art. Don't worry, Bobby said to Engineer Kyleth, whose skin was bright orange with stress. We're not destroying your ship, we're giving it new life. But the crystal matrix was grown over centuries, Kyleth protested. Each wall is perfectly tuned. And that's your problem right there, Bobby replied, cutting another hole. You made everything so perfect that it can't handle being imperfect. Watch this. Bobby installed a simple metal plate over the hole he had cut. Then he ran thick power cables through it. The cables were ugly compared to the crystal streams, but they carried electricity reliably. Your old system was like a spider web. Beautiful, but if you break one thread, the whole web falls apart. Our system is like a highway. If one road breaks, you take another road. Engineer Lisa Rodriguez was working on the other side of the ship, with a team of Zephyrian technicians. She was installing a fusion reactor in what used to be an art gallery. I know it's not pretty, she told them, but this reactor will give you power for 50 years without needing any maintenance. One young Zephyrian named Zarwin asked, "What if the reactor stops working?" Lisa smiled and patted a toolbox. "Then we fix it. Takes about an hour with basic tools. No special crystals, no perfect music, no rare materials. Just nuts, bolts, and know-how." The aliens were amazed by human tools. They watched Chief Mike Thompson repair a complex air recycling system by hitting it with a wrench until it started working again. "How did you know to do that?" asked Veltar, who was following the humans around to learn their methods. Mike shrugged. 20 years of fixing things. Sometimes the best tool is the simplest one. That air recycler had a stuck valve. A few good hits loosened it up. "But how did you know it was stuck?" "Experience. I listened to the sound it made. Humans learn to understand what machines are telling us." Dr. Helen Woods was in the ship's medical bay, working with Zephyrian doctors to connect human power systems to their medical equipment. The alien doctors were nervous about using primitive human electricity on their patients. "Dr. Melandry," Helen said patiently, "electricity is electricity. Your medical machines need power to run. It doesn't matter if that power comes from singing crystals or fusion reactors. But what if the power is not pure enough?" The alien doctor worried. Helen showed her a small device. "This is a power regulator. It cleans up the electricity and makes it smooth. We use these on Earth to protect sensitive equipment." She plugged the alien medical scanner into the human power system through the regulator. The scanner came to life, working perfectly. "But this should not work," Dr. Melandry said in amazement. "Our systems are quantum-based, and quantum systems need electricity to operate the quantum fields," Helen explained. "We're not changing how your machines work. We're just giving them a different source of power." Outside the ships, engineer Pete Collins was installing external power cables between vessels. He floated in space wearing a bulky spacesuit, connecting thick cables from human ships to alien ships. "Pete," his partner Sarah Kim called over the radio, "the aliens are asking why we're using cables instead of wireless power transfer." Pete laughed as he bolted another cable connection to a crystal hull. "Because cables don't fail when there's interference. You can shoot this cable with a laser and it'll still carry power. Wireless systems fail when you look at them wrong." The alien observers were taking notes on everything. Captain Elena Vasquez of the research ship Starseeker was recording the human work methods for the Galactic Scientific Council. "Day 8 of the human rescue operation," she recorded. "Their approach defies all standard engineering principles. They are essentially performing surgery on living ships while the patients are still conscious. Yet somehow it works." On the alien flagship, the first test was ready. Bobby stood next to Admiral Veltar in the main power control room, now filled with human equipment. Banks of computers, power regulators, and manual switches covered what used to be an empty crystal chamber. "Admiral, are you ready to see some lights?" Bobby asked. Veltar's skin was cycling through nervous colors. "If this works, Engineer Chen, you will have performed a miracle. If this doesn't work, we'll figure out what went wrong and try again." That's the human way. Bobby threw the main power switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, lights began to come on throughout the ship. The Zephyrians cheered as their ship came alive for the first time in weeks. "Life support is working," reported Dr. Woods from her station. "Air recycling, heating, artificial gravity, all operating normally." Engines are online, called Lisa Rodriguez. We have propulsion power. Admiral Veltar stared at the displays showing his ship's systems. Everything was working, powered by the ugly human fusion reactor humming loudly in the next room. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No, Admiral," Bobby said with a grin. "This is human engineering. We don't do impossible. We do whatever works." The celebration spread through both fleets. Human workers cheered over their radios. Zephyrians sang their joy in crystal-clear voices. Even the alien observers seemed impressed. But this was just one ship. 7,999 more ships waited in the darkness. Morrison watched from his bridge as work teams spread out to the next group of ships. "How long will it take to fix them all, Bobby?" Bobby's voice came back, over the radio, tired but determined. "At this rate? About 3 weeks, Captain. But we're getting faster as we learn. Then we work for 3 weeks. No one sleeps until everyone's safe." The rescue operation continued, day and night, as humans proved once again that the impossible was just another word for a problem they hadn't solved yet. 25 days later, Captain Morrison stood on the bridge watching something that would be remembered forever. 8,000 alien ships floated in space, all glowing with warm light from human fusion reactors. The last ship had just powered up, and the celebration could be heard across dozens of radio channels. "All ships report full power, sir," Lisa Grant announced with tears in her eyes. 30 million people saved. Morrison smiled as he watched the alien fleet come alive. Ships that had been dark and dead for weeks now moved in graceful formations, testing their new human-powered engines. Admiral Veltar's voice came over the radio, speaking to the entire human fleet. "People of Earth, you have done something the galaxy said was impossible. You saved our entire civilization with your courage, your wisdom, and your refusal to accept defeat." The response came from hundreds of human ships at once, cheers, applause, and proud voices celebrating what they had accomplished together. But they were not alone in space. Ships from 12 different alien races had gathered to watch the rescue operation. Now they sat in stunned silence as they witnessed the impossible. Ambassador Kethvar of the Galactic Federation, a tall insect-like being with multiple arms, requested permission to come aboard Morrison's ship. An hour later, he stood on the bridge, his compound eyes reflecting amazement. "Captain Morrison," the ambassador said in his clicking voice, "the Federation Council wishes to offer humanity immediate membership with full voting rights. What you have accomplished here changes everything." Morrison looked out at the alien fleet still humming with human power. "Ambassador, we appreciate the offer, but we didn't do this to impress anyone. We did it because it was the right thing to do." "But the technical achievement," the ambassador began. Bobby Chen, still covered in grease and alien crystal dust, interrupted. "Ambassador, with respect, we didn't achieve anything special. We just refused to give up." The ambassador's antennae twitched in confusion. "But your species solved a problem that our greatest minds declared impossible." Dr. Woods joined the conversation. "Ambassador, I think that's exactly the point. Your greatest minds looked for perfect solutions. We looked for solutions that worked." On the flagship of the Korthak Union, Commander Zixtal was reviewing the human engineering reports with his science team. The crystalline being's thoughts created musical harmonies of confusion. They attached primitive fusion reactors to quantum crystalline systems using adhesive tape, Zixtal asked his officers. "The harmonic discord should have destroyed both systems," replied his science officer. "Yet it worked perfectly for 25 days. How is this possible?" Chief Engineer Yal Andros, who had spent 3 days declaring the Zephyrian rescue impossible, spoke quietly. "Perhaps we have been thinking about engineering wrong, Commander. We seek perfection, but perfection is fragile. The humans seek reliability, and reliability is strong." Back on Morrison's ship, the celebration continued. But the real surprise came when Admiral Veltar made an announcement that shocked the galaxy. "Captain Morrison, the Zephyrian Empire offers humanity a permanent alliance. Our quantum technologies, our star maps, our scientific knowledge, all of it is yours. But more than that, We offer our friendship to a species that showed mercy to strangers. Morrison felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about saving lives anymore. This was about changing how the galaxy worked. Admiral, we're honored by your offer. But let me ask you something. How many other species are out there right now facing problems that the galaxy has declared impossible? Feltar's skin changed to deep blue, the color of serious thought. Many, Captain. The galaxy is full of problems that our civilizations cannot solve. Then maybe it's time the galaxy learned a new way to solve problems. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within hours, the human rescue of the Zephyrian Armada was being discussed on 1,000 worlds. The footage of humans cutting holes in crystal ships and installing fusion reactors with manual tools became the most watched video in galactic history. On the capital world of Centralis, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. 200 species gathered to discuss what the human rescue meant for their civilization. Chancellor Mordeth, an ancient being whose species had founded the council, spoke to the assembled delegates. For millennia, we have believed that advanced technology means complicated technology. Today, a young species has shown us that sometimes the best technology is the simplest technology. The response was immediate. Within a week, human engineering teams were being requested across the galaxy. Problems that had stumped civilizations for centuries were suddenly being approached with human creativity and determination. Captain Morrison found himself addressing the Galactic Council 3 months later. The massive amphitheater was packed, with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all eager to hear from the human who had changed everything. Honored delegates, Morrison began. Humanity doesn't want to replace your technologies or question your methods. We offer something different, a willingness to try new approaches and the stubbornness to keep working until we find a solution. Paused, looking out at the sea of alien faces. The galaxy is huge and full of challenges. What we learned during the rescue is that sometimes the most advanced solution isn't the best solution. Sometimes you need something that works every time, can be fixed with basic tools, and doesn't break when things go wrong. The applause was thunderous, a symphony of sounds from hundreds of different species expressing approval in their own ways. After the speech, Morrison was approached by Jenny Walsh, a young human engineer who had been part of the rescue operation. Captain, do you think this will change how the galaxy sees problems? Morrison looked through the council chamber's windows at the stars beyond. Human ships now traveled alongside vessels from across the galaxy, their crews working together to solve problems that had once seemed impossible. Jenny, I think we've shown the galaxy something important. Advance doesn't always mean better. Sometimes the best solution is the one that works, keeps working, and can be fixed when it breaks. He smiled as a Zephyrian cruiser passed by the station, its elegant crystal hull now decorated with the red and blue markings that showed human-modified systems. It wasn't as pretty as before, but it was alive, carrying people who should have died in the cold dark of space. We didn't just rescue an armada, Jenny. We showed the galaxy that there's value in thinking differently, in refusing to accept that some problems can't be solved. That's going to open doors we can't even imagine. And he was right. As news of the rescue spread to the furthest reaches of space, humanity found itself at the center of a new age of cooperation. Problems that had been considered unsolvable for thousands of years were suddenly being approached with human determination and creativity. The rescue of the Zephyrian Armada became more than just a heroic story. It became the foundation of humanity's place in galactic civilization. Not as conquerors or superior beings, but as the species that looked at the impossible and said, let's find a way to make this work. In the end, that was the most human response of all.